Hi guys, today I'm going to share with you my Finish 7 by Spring Project Pan finale. I ended up going a little bit longer with this project. Originally, my goal was to end this project on March 20th, which was the first day of spring this year. But by the end of March, I was so close on every single item, so I decided to just keep going until I felt like I got to a good stopping point. So I'm excited to share I did hit my goal on 6 out of the 7 products, and the 7th product, the one I didn't hit my goal on, I am so close. I just felt like I was ready to end this project. I didn't want to keep you guys waiting any longer. I am just having so much fun project panning this year, and I feel like I've discovered the best way to project pan for me, which is to do short installments and then take a break from panning for a little while. So that's exactly what I'm going to do after this finale. I'm not going to have any ongoing project pans except for my No Pan Left Behind, which is my eyeshadow palette, kind of a project pan. I'm not aiming to hit pan on anything, but I'm aiming to use every pan of eyeshadow in my collection this year. That's a ton of fun. That's also going on if you want more panning content after this is over, but definitely stay tuned because within the next few months, I want to get another little mini project pan going with well, I don't know how many products yet. That's to be determined, but I like doing a short term. This was about a 3-month long project, which I feel like was the perfect amount of time to not get tired of the products. And when I have that end goal in sight, I actually have more fun focusing on these products, using them a ton, knowing that I'm tracking all my makeup uses, so I'm able to see everything I've used this year. I'm making a point to use everything that I own in my collection as well, not just eyeshadow pans. And so I'm making sure nothing is getting neglected that way. And that way I'm able to really laser focus on some of these project pan items for a short amount of time, use them a ton, and also rest assured that I'm not neglecting other parts of my collection because I know that I'll get to everything this year. I've already used most of the things I own. So the usage tracker has been it's honestly changed my life. So just going in order of a full face of makeup, first things first, we have an empty. This is the Glow Recipe Watermelon Glow Niacinamide Dewdrops Mini. I love this as a mixer. I actually miss using it. I really used this a ton since the last update. I ended up using it 24 more times since my last update, and total in 2025 I've used it 38 times. So that's how many uses it took to get from here to the end, which honestly is pretty good for a mini. I feel like I got a lot of use out of this. Normally I was using it as a mixer with my NYX Bear With Me concealer, which is the next product I'll talk about, but also sometimes I would just use it as a serum, especially towards the end as I was really trying to finish it up. Loved it as a serum. It really does make my skin feel so juicy and glowy. I also use it as a primer sometimes, and it's beautiful that way too. This is one of those products, the more I use it, the more I kind of see the magic and I understand why it was so hyped up. Really is a beautiful product, but I want to try the Essence dupe of this. I've been saying I want to try it for the longest time, so that's going to be the next one that I purchase, way more affordable than this one. Anyway, so that's how much I used up in the last month. I did end up having to get in there with my beauty spatula, which I use this so much I honestly need to replace it because the top keeps falling off. Feels really good to have that out of my collection, and I said I wasn't going to be buying any more primers. My goal was to use up all my primers this year except for SPF ones and then never repurchase another primer again, but this is an exception because I don't really use it like a primer. I mean, sometimes I do, but most of the time I'm using it as a mixer. Speaking of which, I loved mixing it with the NYX Bear With Me concealer serum. This I've used 40 additional times since the last update for a total of 80 uses in 2025 so far, and this is the one product out of the 7 that I have not finished. I have just the smallest amount left. I don't know how many uses that would be. I'm guessing that would probably be 10 more uses. And you might be wondering, how did you use it 40 times if your last update was only a month ago? And the answer is because a lot of days I was using this as both an under eye concealer and as a base mixed with the Glow Recipe Dewdrops. And on days where I'm using it for 2 different purposes, I count that as 2 uses because to me that just makes sense. If one day I was only using this as an under eye concealer, I feel like that should count for less than if I'm using it as both an under eye concealer and a foundation. So that's how I was able to get so many uses. I am wearing this today. I actually mixed it since I'm out of the Glow Recipe Dewdrops. I mixed it with the CoverGirl Clean Invisible foundation, which is a really light coverage foundation. So I added a little bit of this, kind of like a 1-to-1 ratio of the foundation and the concealer together all over my face. And the NYX concealer just bumps up the coverage a little bit. So that's a really nice combo. I think it looks very nice. So that's where we are on that, but I'm glad to have gotten so much use out of this. This is my favorite concealer. I still love it even after all these uses. This I'm pretty sure I will have finished very soon. I am going to keep working on it until it is done, because I want to finish it up. Like probably by the end of April would be really ideal, and I definitely think I can do that. My Uoma contour stick, I am calling this finished. Now, I did not end up digging everything out. I have just decided this is so old, this contour. I've used it so much, and I'm just ready to be done with it now. So I've decided to call it done, and I will continue to use the highlighter side until this one is flattened out too. That's how much I have left of that. Would really like to finish that this year. This I used 16 additional times since my last update, and in total this year I've used it 32 times. But what's crazy is when we started this project is it did not look like I had much left of this. Like I had just the tiniest little nub and it still took 32 uses. So I wore this for the last time today. I've really enjoyed this contour stick. I had already reached my goal on the Milani Cheek Kiss Cream Blush in Nude Kiss in my last update, but I wanted to still show you how much more progress I've made. So my goal on this was to hit pan, and I am just so excited to finally have pan in at least one of my blushes. Would love to hit pan on even more, but it's just so nice because for the longest time I didn't have any pan in my blush collection. But this is one of my favorite blushes. I've had so much fun using it. Today I have it on mixed with the e.l.f. lip product in Happy. But I used this 11 more times since my last update. In total this year I used it 26 times. It's still going to take forever to use this up, but it's so nice to have a nice big pan. I finally hit pan on the ColourPop La Playa single shadow. This is the one that was really causing me to delay this finale because I knew I was going to hit pan on it any day. And it kept going. I could not believe how long it took to hit pan on this. Anyway, I finally hit pan on it today. I have just a teeny tiny pan in here. I actually have had so much fun with this shadow, and I'm so happy to have pan in here finally after all these years of owning it. I was thinking I might declutter this after I hit pan on it just because it's so old, but I was just looking through my singles and realized that I don't really have any other colors like this. I thought I did have another mint green that was similar, but it was actually not. So I'm going to keep this because I do like it. I think it's just such a pretty soft green. I love green eyeshadow. Today I have it on with the Sigma Ambiance palette, a bunch of shades from here. This I had to use a lot more to hit pan on it. I thought I would only have to use it a few more times, but I ended up having to use it 11 more times since my last update. So in total, I ended up using this 17 times since the beginning of 2025. It took way longer than I expected. I think it's because this is such a hard pressed shimmer. It's not one of those super buttery shimmers that practically melt with the heat of your finger. No, I actually normally use a brush with it because it's just so hard pressed. This is what I have on today. I definitely have to build it up quite a bit to get the amount of pigment that I have right now. It's not the most pigmented shadow ever, but the end result is really pretty every time. So definitely enjoyed playing with that. And then the last two things are lip products. So next up we have the e.l.f. Hydrating Core Lip Shine in Happy. I also used this for the last time today. This does not twist up anymore. And again, I haven't dug everything out of there. I don't know that I really care to. I just don't really feel like having it in a separate container and dealing with that whole mess. And I just feel like I really got my money's worth. So I just don't feel the need to use every single tiny last drop of this when I have so many other products that I would love to use. So this is finished. I'm wearing it as a blush today mixed with that Milani Cheek Kiss cream blush, and I wore it on my lips a ton. I actually can't believe how much I used this since my last update. I remember my last update, I wasn't sure if I'd be able to finish this by the finale. I had so much left, and I decided to just put my head down and use it like crazy. So I used it 46 more times since my last update for a total of 62 uses in 2025. I thought this was going to go faster. I did not think it was going to take that many uses to get through this. And really, if I hadn't used it as a blush so much, I would not have used it up in that time frame or in that number of uses even, because I definitely use more of this when I wear it on my cheeks versus on my lips. That's how I got so much use out of this. I'm really happy to just have it finished though. Yeah, I just powered through it, finished it up. I really like this lip product. It has a perfect shade. Yeah, I can probably scrape just a little bit more out, but it has just this perfect rosy sheer color to it. It's moisturizing. I actually have another shade of this that I would also really like to finish this year, so I'll probably get to that one in the summer. But yeah, so happy to have that finished. It took a lot more work than I expected though, so I'll keep that in mind for next time. And last but certainly not least, I did also finish my Lawless Forget the Filler lip gloss in Juicy Watermelon. This is the first of these that I've used up. I have several more shades in my collection, and this is finished. It's empty. I used this 18 additional times since my last update, and so in total I used it 35 times since the start of 2025. That's how much it took actually to get from here to the end. I started here. So that's actually more uses than I would have expected to get out of just this. Like, I don't know, for some reason that's like just more than I was expecting, because I felt like I went through this, like visually you see it go down kind of fast. So yeah, I don't know, I wasn't expecting to get quite that many uses out of it, but it definitely took, again, some dedication to get this finished up. And I did remove the stopper and kind of scrape everything out of the bottom with my beauty spatula. And then I put the stopper back in because I just didn't want it to get messy. So that is, yeah, a nice empty lip gloss. Love to see it. And that is the finale. I would say that was a pretty exciting finale with only one thing not quite finished. But I'll make sure to post a picture of this when it's empty on my YouTube community tab. So make sure you're subscribed and have your notifications turned on if you want to make sure you don't miss any posts like that from me. But overall, I would say that was a really exciting update. And like I said, I feel like this has been a much better way of panning for me, where I just do short-term projects and then have breaks in between. So I'm excited to be entering that break between pans right now and just use everything that I have organically. But if you are hungry for more panning type content, definitely make sure you check out my No Pan Left Behind series. I hope you guys have enjoyed this Finish 7 by Spring project pan, and I will talk to you very soon in my next video. Bye!